Welcome to the Well Club, where the journey to wellness begins. Take a deep breath, open your mind, and join us as we explore the endless possibilities of well-being. Here's Dr. Rob Douk.
Today, I'm joined by Rachael Sacerdoti, an inspiring transformation expert whose personal journey from feeling trapped and unhealthy to becoming a beacon of hope for others. Truly remarkable. Overcoming her struggles, Rachael lost an incredible 30 kilograms in just 6 months through simple, sustainable changes, and has since qualified as a personal trainer, helping others achieve their own fitness goals with her empowering approach. Rachael, welcome to the Well Club. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well, hiding out in my room to get rid of all the noise in the house, the kids and everyone.
I'm so excited to connect with you. I think the platform that you've developed is amazing. Your story is amazing. So I am excited to kind of just dive in and learn a little bit more. You're the founder of It's So Simple. Maybe we'll start there. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that kind of has evolved?
Absolutely. So I started It's So Simple. It's basically a program that helps women to make changes in with their lifestyles. We want them to make health transformations, and we do this through fitness, nutrition, and accountability. Accountability is a big part of the program because that's something when I was on my journey, and I'll tell you a bit more later, but I found was really missing and difficult to get. And so this is something we really focus on, and I believe that is the true magic here.
Tell us about that. We have developed a platform that has 9 dimensions of wellness because we feel like you can't do things in silo. There's so much that's interrelated. And I think that
Yep.
accountability piece, it's so critical. And,
Yep.
I've been, checking out your website and everything that you've developed online. And I see that is there like a virtual check-in with a coach that keep people on track?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have in group intakes where we take clients in, and they have a community around them, a supportive community around them, which is in its sense a great sense of accountability. And we take care of all of their fitness, like which exercise programs they should be on to suit their goals, any injuries they may have or any medical conditions they have, and simply what they like and don't like. Some like high intensity, some like more strength-based. So yeah, tailor it to what they like. We also look at all their nutrition. We calculate all of their macros. Everything's done bespoke to each client. So it has to work for them, and in a lifestyle way. We don't really want to segregate people to just macro tracking, because if you do that and you're out for dinner or you're on holiday or you're at a friend's house, then it makes it really impossible. And we want to make this doable for everyone of every age. So we do all of their nutrition as well. And then the accountability comes in forms of their groups. And we have coaches on the groups who take them through the whole journey. And they also get a check-in every single week with a coach privately with pictures and weights. We put the pictures side by side so we can actually see changes in their bodies, as opposed to just going with weight, because we all know the weighing scale likes to lie to us, especially when we're doing strength training. So
Yeah. Sounds like a real tailored approach you have there, right? And I think it needs to be, because everyone's body's different. They absorb, what they put into their body, differently. In
yeah,
your journey, and I have to kind of look this up, but you lost, what was it, 30 kilograms, which is like 66 pounds here, is what
yeah.
we would think that like a pretty short. Tell us a little bit about your transformation journey and like what started that.
Yeah. So I was 39 after I had my third baby. Gabby was about 9 months, and I found myself just really, really um, unhealthy, just going for all of the wrong things. I had struggled with food my entire life, and I always hated activity, hated exercise. I liked sports, but I hated exercise. Um, and yeah, I was about nine months postpartum with her, and I was about 93, 94 kilos, and my feet were really hurting me. I had cracked feet. My back was really giving in. My shoulders gave in, both of them. And I just, I was in a vicious cycle of just chronic, throwing myself into my unhealthy food to kind of quell those emotions. I had 3 kids under 5, really busy household, and my husband was traveling a lot for work back and forth. So that's just kind of what I did. And at some point when my kids were like, "Mommy, take us to the park." And I was like, "I can't really take you to the park. Can we just sit on the floor and build a puzzle?" Because I couldn't physically walk to the park, which was just about 10, 15 minutes away. I thought to myself, something's really not right here. I used to be an active person. I loved sport. And now I was just so far away from the mom that I wanted to be. I wanted to be the mom who would go surfing with them, who went skiing with them, who like did all these adventures with them. And here I am sitting on the floor at home, 3 kids under 5, unable to do anything. So it had already like planted in my head, and then we went away a couple months later, and I was sitting in Bali in a jacuzzi with my brother, and he looked at me and he was like, "Rach, something's not adding up here. Like, you're not yourself. I just saw you have like 4 ice popsicles, like, what's going on?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just like in this, this vicious cycle, and it's like I just can't stop myself." And so we had a very open conversation there. And he goes, "Look, I've known you all your life. You are a very all or nothing person. It's like you either go all in and you burn out and you stop after 2 weeks, or you're eating 4 popsicles in 1 hour. Like, there has to be an in between." And whilst I wanted to slap him and be like, "Who are you?" I wanted to really have a go. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, he's right." And like, I literally had like flashbacks of my whole life, just like poo, 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 like in my head at that moment. And I was like, wow, that just summarized it so perfectly.
Wow.
And at that point, I made a promise to myself that when I go home, I was kind of like almost embarrassed that he pointed this out to me. But I made a promise in my head, and I said, when I get back to London, I am going to take this in hand. I'm going to change it. And I'm not just going to change it the way I normally change it, which is diet pills, yo-yo dieting, starving, restriction, cutting out carbs, doing all the things that just has not worked for 40 years of my life. So when I got back, I did exactly that. I started walking around my block. It was difficult, but I did it. And then I progressed to walking to the park. And then I progressed to walking around the park. And then I progressed to doing 25-minute workouts in my bedroom. And then a month after that, I ended up in the gym. I was the only girl there without shoes in a little corner doing some HIIT workouts, and everyone was looking at me. And I was like, "That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's all working, so I'm cool." And yeah, that's basically how it started. I started doing a lot of research on like nutrition and trying to really understand how I could push through this period, how I could really match up the nutrition with the fitness and start to see some results. And, I just did very simple things. I moved more and I ate better. I cut out a lot of processed sugar. I cut out all the unhealthy snacks, the Nutella and the maple syrup and the peanut butter and all of those things that it was like my go-to. I'm hungry, I'm bored, bread with peanut butter and jam, boom. Hungry and bored, bread with Nutella, boom. So I just did those little things, added in protein, added in like slow release carbs, lots of vegetables, fiber, fruit.
So simple.
Yeah.
So that's where that came from.
Literally. Wow. And it just dropped off pretty much consistently. The first 2 weeks, I didn't really see anything. And I was about to go, "Oh my God, this is not working. I think I have to quit now and find someone to help me." And then it just started coming off week 3, and it was like a kilo a week every week. And the minute I started seeing that, it was like, right, I'm now going for it because it's working. And then the world kind of became my oyster. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing. What's your brother's
yeah,
name?
Ben.
Ben? Go
Yeah.
Coach Ben, right? And,
Yeah.
and he knew his sister well and what she needed to hear in that time frame, really catapulted, this pain into this purpose and now a passion of yours, which it's what an amazing story. So how have you translated some of that into your practice? It sounds like you've emulated some of this into kind of like the practice, right? There's a little bit, there's coaching, and everybody they receive messages differently. Some people need kind of that direct feedback that stung a little bit, but it motivated you. Others
Yeah.
needed to be delivered a little bit more gently. But there seems to be kind of a science behind it all. There's a consistency, it
Yeah.
sounds like, that you're doing. And
Yeah.
so talk to us a little bit about how your own journey, and and it's often the best. I have a similar story from burnout to like my breakthrough too. You're just so invested into the research and everything, and you're so desperately trying to get yourself out of this, you know, um, this place where you don't want to be anymore, and now you just want to share it with the world, right? So
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think, from my journey, I learned that everyone does function in different ways, right? We all have our like buttons, and if you press them, you get different outcomes. And, over the last 5 years that I've been running It So Simple, we have clients of all sorts and ages and backgrounds and, just from everywhere. And you're very right. Like everyone is so different. And it's really figuring out who that person is, what is going to tick their box, and how to communicate with that person. And that's one of our biggest learnings as a company, because we have to make sure that we figure that out so that we can connect with that person. And then once we get that and we gain their trust, and they feel us, like this is not just a company whereby we perform a job. This is like a relationship. So when someone comes in, that we really develop that sense of like, I want to know you. I want to know your lifestyle. I want to know all the little things we can change and tweak where we need to make this sustainable for you long term. So with that comes, all of the mindset shifts, the consistency, the progress over perfection, which is one of the biggest things I see with clients. They come in and they want to smash it. And I'm like, guys, we're not doing that here. We're focusing on 1 week at a time. Like, what are we smashing this week? Is it the macros? Is it the nutrition? Is it the going out and eating? Is it the exercise, the progression with the weights? Like, or the mindset changes? There's got to be small shifts, because if not, then it doesn't really become sustainable. It doesn't really become a way of life. And that is my thing, is making it a way of life, because for 4 decades, I struggled with, this yo-yo effect, because nothing was sustainable. Keto, I couldn't do keto for more than 4 weeks. It's like, I just can't keep up with this diet, So I needed to make sure that this was something that people could leave our program and continue doing. And it's worked. Because when I speak to clients who's been with us 4 years ago, they're
yeah,
still keeping up with things.
yeah.
So I'm really happy to say that.
Yeah, I think the focus on making holistic helped it to be sustainable, right? Because often there's these
Yeah.
fads and people try it, they don't know how to implement it well, so then they give up very quickly. We have so we've connected mind, body, and spirit, which it sounds like what you're doing a lot of here. So I'm kind
Yeah.
of hearing where you're connecting the dots here, and it kind of like started with your brother Ben, kind of doing a mind shift thing for you, and
Yeah.
then it goes into like playing around with these simple things,
Yeah.
as simple as nutrition, and just changing
Yeah.
it. And we can make nutrition now. I've been on your Instagram. You've got a lot of flavorful stuff in there that I want to try, and it gives you the whole foods that you need, that your body is craving for, and it keeps you full longer. It gives you the
Yeah.
protein counts that you need. And so I'm kind of making those connections as I'm hearing you. For you, are you thinking about it from a little bit of that lens too, that there's education and mind shifting happening before we can, focus on the body and nutrition? And then there's this human spirit where there's accountability and rallying together to kind of help one another out. How do you see those three kind of intermingling in your program?
Yeah, so they're all extremely vital, like the educational part of like, why protein? Why do you need the protein? What is the protein going to do for you? Satiating. It's going to fuel your muscles, build your muscles, all that stuff. Why do we need to progress on weights? So all of the education stuff. And then there's all of the, the mindset shifts, progress
Yeah.
over perfection, you know, d- discipline over motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It's like here 1 minute, gone the next minute. Like we can't rely on that. So let's develop the sense of discipline. So all these different concepts that, are going to help clients change their mindset. And then, of course, there's the whole, wellness aspect of it and the mental health aspect of it. Like I find that so many clients who come to this program who struggle with weight, may not be so great in the mental health department. And that's really important too, for them to know that they're not failing, that they're succeeding, no matter how small the changes are, they're still succeeding. And I think it's really important to focus on that aspect as well and build them up, because as well as I do, like this industry, I mean, there's so much noise. We've been told so much by our parents. We've seen so much. We've heard so much. It really has taken a toll on a lot of us. And I feel like that doesn't need to be the way. We can reverse that to some extent. So that's what we try and do: break through those webs and simplify things for people, and get them to practice it, see the results, and that becomes a habit in itself.
Amazing. There's some similarities and alignments, I think, in our stories, in that I'm 45 this year, and so is my wife, and so we're facing new challenges. I mean, I'm injured now, just from running excessively. Yeah, just running excessively. There's, the importance of stretching before I go for a run now,
Yeah.
and my wife's kind of in that premenopause kind of stage, and learning how to kind of mitigate and manage some of that.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit, as it relates to, I think I hear kind of your training regimen, has that changed once you hit a certain age in terms of building muscle and those sorts of things? How do you think about that for a client who's kind of in this
In
age
this
range?
stage of life. Yeah, absolutely. So I think, the things we need to really focus on here in this kind of 35 and upwards age range, is the importance of building muscle. There is so much about fat loss, but what people don't really seem to understand is that it all stems from muscle. It's like the symptom and the cause, Once you build muscle in your body and you have a metabolically active body, and, all of those systems are working well, then the fat loss will happen. The issue is when we're dieting and when we're restricting calories and we're losing weight through all these years and decades because we've been told that's the right thing to do, we lose all the muscle, and then we kind of hit this place where we're like, uh-oh, there's no more movement. So I would, really focus on this idea of muscle. Strength training is super important, ensuring that we're lifting progressively, whether it's at home or the gym, to whatever a client can do, whether that's lifting 2 kilos or that's lifting 12 kilos. That's where they are at that point. But the whole point here is to progress slowly as they get stronger. So I would say, probably about 4 sessions a week of resistance training, strength training. Alongside, we could do some low impact cardio, probably 2-3 sessions a week. Some like incline walking or walking on the treadmill or elliptical, stair climbing, whatever it is, just to aid with like lung health and heart health. So that for the exercise, and of course, the stretching, the warm-ups, all so important, right? And then every week I'd suggest having a full rest day, because you need to let your body recover. That's where all of your muscles do the growing, and all the recovery happens. So people are always like, I want to work out 7 days a week. And I'm like, no, like you've got to give yourself at least one day to just like take it easy and like let things happen. So yeah, and then there's the nutrition part to support with the high protein. We're going to strength train. There's no point doing that without the protein. And women in general find it very difficult to, a lot of them don't even understand how much protein they really need just to sustain their muscle mass. I mean, from the age of 35, where, as we age, we're losing 1 to 2 pounds of muscle a year. So in order to do that, the strength training and the protein, they're both vital. So, yeah, the protein's super important. Fiber for digestion, carbs for energy. We get lots of people afraid of carbs. They don't want to eat carbs. And we're like, no, carbs are good for you. They're going to give you energy and focus. Have the carbs. So we teach them all of that stuff. And yeah, and then, I think all of that is just like really obviously hydration, sleep, any supplements that are like really important for this period of life, magnesium, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of where I would go with that age range.
That's great. And it's so interrelated, right? Because the more you start moving, the healthier you feel, even if it affects your emotions even. So that's why,
Totally.
you got to look at this from like a multifaceted approach with nutrition and everything. You've got a lot of great recipes. And I have 3 kids too. So if, in this stage of life where you need the protein and all that, what's kind of your go-to if you're busy, right? You've got to get kids out of the door and to school on time, but you've got to like somehow fit in breakfast and your meals
Yeah.
throughout the day. So what's
Yeah.
your go-to recipe you want to share with us?
So I would say breakfast, quick and easy, a protein shake in the morning. I have a really good protein powder that's high quality and clean. I don't like having highly processed things. So if I'm going to have a protein powder, I want to make sure it's nice, clean. So I do that with half a banana, a little bit of peanut butter, some milk, some chia seeds. Sometimes I do that with berries. It just varies. For lunch, I'm always seated working during lunch hours, so that has to be quick as well. So, that could be like a quick, I'll bulk cook some quinoa, keep it in the fridge, and then I'll
Yeah.
just like basically do a stir fry with like a can of tuna, and like loads of greens that again, I bulk cook and just keep it in a Tupperware in the fridge. So I always have something to go, it's always like a 5-minute ordeal versus a 20-minute ordeal. Throw an egg in. So that's like a fried rice, but it's like a fried quinoa with tuna for the protein and egg, and lots of fiber. And quinoa is also really good for you. So yeah, that's like a really good lunch that I have quite often. And then dinner could be like any source of, just easy, quick protein, like some salmon grilled in a wrap with some veg. Could be anything, pasta, as long as I'm having all of my food groups most of the time, keeping it relatively clean and getting my protein in, I'm happy.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I saw a post you had. It was like 80% versus the 20% of the time, right? Like you still allow
Yeah,
yourself to enjoy certain things, but it's just kind of having those parameters seems to
it's so
help you balance.
important. So important because like if we restrict, then how long are you gonna cut out sugar for? Really, realistically, how long are you never gonna have an ice cream for, or a piece of chocolate, or something that you love? You've got to somehow find a way to work that into your week so that you can do this long term. It's not easy, that part of it. It's finding the balance and what works for you, but it's doable.
What can we share with people who are maybe listening and they're like, "Well, great, this worked for you guys, but I'm still skeptical because I've tried everything." Maybe I'd like for you to kind of think through like all of your clients that you've been coaching. What are some common threads or commonalities of hitting that block wall, or is it just a mindset shift in the beginning, and then once you get going to kind of stick it out for a period of time? Is it accountability? I'm sure it's all those things, but as you
Yeah.
walk through, I'd love to hear you encourage those tuning in on how to get there, because it isn't like this magic pill. It isn't like you wake up and you have to do these, and that's why I love your theme about making it so simple. Like, Walk us through some of those steps.
Yeah, so you're very right. It isn't like this magic thing where you wake up and boom, it's all, coming really super easily. I think, it's we've got to focus on small wins. I think that's a really important thing to get you through, and also to set realistic goals, right? If you're setting like, oh, I want to lose 20 kilos in 12 weeks, it's just like you're going to let yourself down. So, why even go there? Let's set like maybe more realistic goals in a shorter period of time. So it's something that you can kind of be like, okay, this worked, or okay, it didn't work. How can I tweak it and move forward? I think, you know, initially, like things are not always going to happen the way you want it to happen. But I think something I kept telling myself, like in those first 2 or 3 weeks where I didn't see any movement and I was like, oh my God, I was like, you will not defy science. You cannot defy science. You've got to trust, you've got to learn to trust yourself. And I would have these internal conversations with myself and find the resilience inside of me, which wasn't easy. I was a mom with 3 kids, under 5, 6 years old. And I had a lot of challenges like on that end of things, and socially and like in every way. So this was just like another thing that I was battling with myself at that point. But it was so important, and it's what really set the foundation to propel me forward. So I think having those conversations, those internal conversations, or even with a coach or a community is really, really important. And also it has so much to do with trust. Like very often we say, oh, I'm going to start today. And then, 11 o'clock comes and you're like, I really want that croissant. It's like, I'm just going to have the croissant. And that's just like you lying to yourself, like you betraying yourself. That trust, you have trust with yourself, and that is broken every time you do those things. So it's about learning how to build that back to trust yourself. And that was massive for me because I didn't think I was capable of doing any of this.
Yeah. So I'm hearing that it's okay to get help. It's okay to engage others, right? And so you focus on fitness, nutrition, accountability, and community. And within what you build in your community, is accountability kind of a little bit of your secret sauce? I mean, have you determined that's so key, right? Because we could talk all these negative thoughts and ruminate on it, but then when you meet with a coach that talks you out of it and reveals the truth of the matter, has that been kind of the
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
okay.
Big area of success for our clients is the accountability factor. We have, so the group is the day-to-day accountability where there's like, everyone's sending in their meals, everyone's sending in their badges. So even if you're waking up and you're like, I'm really not motivated to do this, you're seeing Jessica's badge come in and you're seeing Louisa's meal come in and you're like, okay, let me get with it. Let me go get this workout done. And that's a really great meal idea. So I'm going to actually try that for my breakfast today.
I love that.
So it's like a steep learning curve because you're not just doing this one-on-one, you're actually doing it, seeing everyone else. So that is like a huge part of it, but also the coaches check in with clients privately all throughout the week. So it's like, hey, Tammy, how are you? How are you doing today? What's the plan for the day? How did you find the weekend? So again, there's that one-to-one connection where Tammy is now able to tell her coaches, good, bad, great. This is what I did well at. This is what I didn't do well at. And then that's an area that we can now work on to fix and make it better for her. So it's that communication, that engagement, the accountability, which is so, so epic.
That's what we found to be really the game changer for us, and kind of our secret sauce is the community. And because it breeds like not just camaraderie, at the Well Club, but people are seeing that other people are struggling with similar issues, and here's how to overcome them because somebody had a breakthrough, and they came up with a new strategy on their own, how to like say no to the croissant. That's kind of my weakness too, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. So I think that's been always my encouragement, is to get in the right group of people that are like-minded, that kind of want to pursue
Like-minded.
similar goals. And you guys
Yeah.
are going to struggle together. You're going to triumph together.
Yeah.
Amazing, Rachel. So
Yeah.
what's next for you? You built this great community. What haven't I asked you that you want to share?
I mean, what's next? I just want to get like, I want to affect as many women as we possibly can, because I know that these changes are so literally life changing, with mood, with relationships, with jobs, with, how many clients have left their jobs because they've realized, I'm just so unhappy here. I want to go study nutrition, or I want to go do something else, just in the time that they've been on the program, because it affects, other parts of it. Doesn't only just affect your physical transformation, it affects everything, the way you think, your emotions, everything. So that's what I really want to do. I also have this huge itch in me to like educate kids, schools. This is where, we start, right? Like, so many of us have been affected by what we learned in school, or what our parents told us, or watching, my mom stand on the scale every day. So I feel like if we start from children, then we're building up the good practices already. So there's less likelihood of them kind of falling into these bad patterns. And that is something that I'm really interested in, and I'd love to do. I just have to make another Rachel so that I can have enough hands and time to like get in everyone and everything.
Well, we
Yeah,
could
but I'd
certainly
love to
collaborate.
do that.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
talk offline. There's tons of folks like you, and we don't have to all do it ourselves. And there's teams that we can leverage to communicate. Education's a really big part of the Well Club. We feel like it does start with education, and knowledge is so powerful because it can really renew your mind and really shift your perspective on a lot of things. And sometimes it's just disseminating the right information to people so they could hear it in the way that they want to receive it for the first time. You could hear something
yeah.
like 10 times over, but like sometimes the delivery isn't quite right. So amazing.
And one more thing that I think is so, so, so important, it's like this idea of like setting a goal. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a goal, there's no direction. You can't set off that intention unless you have somewhere to go. And I think that is so important. And many times, that people need help with that. They need help just with something so simple like setting a realistic goal, because
That's
then
right.
they're more than likely to kind of move down that direction than feel totally discombobulated and lost.
You're absolutely
So
right.
that's a really strong point.
Yeah. So good. How can people get a hold of you? I know you're all over the internet, but what's a big way?
We're very much on Instagram. The handle is it's so simple _RS. And we have our website where you can read more about the program. We have a blog with some very interesting articles. And yeah, those are the two best ways I'd say to get in touch with us. And we'd love to hear from you guys, so don't be shy.
Incredible. So fun to have you on the show today, Rachel. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was lovely chatting with you.
This has been the Well Club. Remember that wellness is not a destination, but a continuous path of growth and self-discovery. To learn more about Dr. Rob Douk, go to drdouk.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and always remember to nurture your well-being. The Well Club is a production of Forbes Books.